Steven, I think they're ready for us. You ready?
Yep.
So what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 2 a.m. in Sweden. I am one of your hosts of the show, Hayes, aka O'Shifty, with the one, the only, Steven at Steven_Springs. Steven, how are you doing? How was your trip? Let's start with the recap of everything going on in life.
Yeah. Trip was good. Went down to Selbyville, Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little community down there. Got there Wednesday, came back Sunday night. We were there with BJ and his family. Shout out to BJ.
Shout out.
Yeah, it was good. It's like my neighborhood. You've been in my neighborhood. It's like my neighborhood, but on steroids. Everybody has a golf cart. There's way more money, way more amenities. They have a golf course. It's sick. I'll send you some pictures. It's fucking dope. So we're down there chilling. The kids at the beach. I had to work on Friday, so Brooke and the kids at the beach. I'm not a beach guy. I don't know about you, but like I don't like the beach that much. Like I don't like the sand.
Yeah.
I'm good for like an hour or so, but like my wife can be there, my kids can be there all day. Like no dice. I hate the sand. No matter how many times you clean or do this or do that, it's still there. And like the next trip, it's gonna be it's frustrating. But I'm a big pool guy. Love the pool.
Yes.
Love the pool, dude. Your boy loves the pool. So they had a poolside bar, racked up a good bill for that. That was dope. Yeah, just hung out. It was hot, dude. It's hot as shit outside these days, man.
It was.
Like,
yes.
It's like it's thick. Like the air is like it's tough to breathe. And it's like it's hot, like hot early.
Yes.
Like early. I went for a run today, like 10. It's just like tough, dude. Like you can't breathe properly. It's annoying. You can't drink enough water. Just usually we don't get this type of shit until like mid-July or like August. And it's been happening for the last like 3 weeks, just been the 90s. It's supposed to be hotter tomorrow. So that sucks. But outside of that, boys are chilling. Really counting down the days till football season starts. And we got like 50 some odd days or so, maybe like below that now. So I'm eager to talk about that. I am going to be doing the quick slants again pretty soon. Me and Jay Hill got some things in the work. Trying to find the time. It might not be till camp starts in August, but after that, it might be like a bigger deal than it is now. Jay Hill might be a little co-host, co-guest type of thing. Got some things in the works. The homies,
solid
homies.
Shout out. So Steven was more south than me. I went north to Atlantic City. For anyone that has never gone to Atlantic City, don't. I promise you, you'll be fine. There's no need to go up there. Just think about if you ever wanted to do a ghost tour at a beach, just go to Atlantic City. There are so many hotels that are just abandoned. And I don't know, Steven, if you've been there, you could talk about this, but people were even saying, and I started thinking, did COVID mess it up this much? Because Vegas on the beach was essentially Atlantic City. And I went there and I said, this is your king? Like, this is what you guys talked about?
Yeah. So for as little as I gamble these days, I have been there. Wasn't any sort of boys trip or anything. It was with the family. But I can definitely see how that shit was once popping, like, not too long ago, but like back in the day, probably super, super popping. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of old stuff there that just seemed like it never kept up with the times. Like you got the beach and everything, but like people just walk the boardwalk now. So it's not like it doesn't have like that aura that it used to. That word.
Yeah, that's a good one.
About it. That used to be a big thing. And like, Vegas is obviously dramatically different because there's no whatever. It's different. But Vegas has an aura about it. Atlantic City used to way back in the day. Now it's like, like people mention it as like a spot to go to. Like, yo, you trying to go to AC this weekend? Nope.
Yeah.
Not. It's kind of a place. I'd rather get some tickets and maybe fly to Miami.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Maybe go to Cali. I'd rather like find like a, like a trip to Seattle maybe instead of Atlantic City. Sign me up.
Yeah.
So but like back in the day, no one's passing that trip up.
That was the place. Trip. Yeah.
Nope, not anymore. It's too bad though. Too bad.
Yeah, and then the other part I realized, and I forgot about it for a second, is you have to pay money to demolish the buildings. So it's easier just to leave the buildings there. And then they're just abandoned. It's huge hotels that are there, like parking garage to everything, nothing. It's just there.
Time out. They calling me. Hang on.
Okay. And so kind of the other thing with that is you had the hotels, but then we would walk the strip. For starters, on Friday, I got there Friday night. I left Sunday. Friday night, we didn't go to sleep until 5 o'clock in the morning. Not doing that again. Then Saturday, I didn't go to sleep until maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. But and I don't want to ruin the experience for other people that might be interested in going. It's just not what a lot of people used to talk about. Instead, it used to be they had like some pizza places, they were okay. Like there was this one Mexican restaurant, it was okay. Nothing was outstanding there. But we went there for my friend's bachelor party. So as long as he enjoyed it, and that's what meant the most over anything at all. With that, the other thing I want to end up bringing up now, speaking of money, I want to go into the finance side of things so we can end up recapping everything in terms of sports, because that's I know what you all came to see and hear. And the first thing is I want to give you all some alpha, some game on how you can end up doing better in the stock market. I know a lot of the time we always talk about the crypto side of things, but this time I want to bring up the stock market. And there's two different accounts that I recommend everyone following. The first one is Nancy Pelosi Tracker. So the reason why I say everyone should end up paying attention to the Nancy Pelosi Tracker is Nancy Pelosi is probably one of, if not the best, political stock market trader. So Nancy Pelosi is a politician, and they just did this on May 29th. So it says the Pelosi portfolio was officially up 28% year to date. So some of the winners, so she made 136% year to date off of NVIDIA. She made 42% year to date on CrowdStrike, and then she made 28% year to date on Google. Solid returns, especially coming from the stock market, because they always say you only end up returning 20%. The biggest thing is for so long, people would always just wonder, just say, oh, we're not going to end up replicating the same trades that they're doing. It's so much simpler and easier. Just duplicate what they're doing. Stop trying to work smarter or harder. Just do what they're doing, because politicians are not going to lose money a lot of the time. So if you just follow what they're doing, then everything will be fine. The other one I wanted to bring up was Quiver Quantitative. And so this one is another tracker for politicians, except unlike the Nancy Pelosi tracker, Quiver Quantitative follows all the different politicians. So for example, one of the representatives, her name is Susie Lee. She just bought a stock. Well, this is on May 28th. She bought a stock in German arms manufacturer, Rheinmetall, and she's the first U.S. politician they've seen purchase stock in this one. These different politicians, one, have insider information. So why go against them when a lot of time they're going to end up doing well? Second, another one was they talked about Nancy Pelosi, how she sold up to $500,000 worth of her Tesla stocks 2 weeks ago. She made 43% off of it. So that's kind of another big thing. And for those wondering, Nancy Pelosi isn't even the top dog in terms of the politician sector of who's making the most. It is actually Rick Scott. So Rick Scott is number one. His current net worth is $327 million. Daily change when this was taken, he made like $14,000 in a day. Nancy Pelosi's number two at $257.4 million. Number three is Vern Buchanan out of Florida, $249 million. Four, Mitt Romney at $246 million. And then five is Daryl E. Issa out of California, $217 million. Again, politicians do not make hundreds of millions of dollars. They are able to build their portfolio, one, because they have the inside information on these different things, and then they build their portfolio this way. They have the knowledge so that then their portfolios can continue to grow, and then it allows them to just have on the side their actual salary, which half the time they can just probably end up putting it in that way if they want to. The other two things bringing this into the stock market to crypto and then back into the sports side. Number one is two different Solana ETFs were filed for. This does not mean it was approved. This does not mean it was going to happen. But for Solana to be the third one that has been submitted for an application, of course, first was Bitcoin. Second was Ethereum. Ethereum is going to be approved all around for all of them soon. And then the third is Solana. It just shows you that Solana is trying to hold that third spot. Binance was it, but of course, when CZ went to jail, and then also Binance not necessarily being headquartered in the US is something else that has become a problem with them. Whereas Bitcoin does not have necessarily a person that is in control of it. Ethereum, of course, has Vitalik Buterin, but I promise you, you can trust Vitalik Buterin. If you just see him out in the streets, my man doesn't even have security. So the likelihood of him doing some like crazy shit when you're worth billions of dollars and you don't have security, I think we're going to be just fine in that regard. And then the third one is Solana. So then also talking about Solana, we do have to bring up what's going on in the crypto side of things. And with that, we do see Bitcoin hovering around 55 to 56,000. I do think it's going to continue to chop throughout the summer. And then the rumors have been out there saying that there are going to be rate cuts. And we also have noticed that you saw on the commercial real estate side of things have fallen off. Well, people start to see that this is going to happen on the other side of the real estate market, aka the real estate that you and I as individuals end up purchasing. That's going to be the one impact. And it's more so because the amount of listings out there have reached an all-time high since 2016, they were saying. And the only thing you can do is end up lowering the prices. Plus, also the interest rates are higher. So they feel as though at least 1 or 2 interest rate cuts are going to happen. When interest rate cuts happen, that's then you're going to see numerous different things end up decreasing. So different the long-term savings accounts that people have out there right now, you're seeing 5.25% to 5%. That's going to be pulled back. Insurance costs are going to be pulled back. Interest rates on cars and houses, that will pull back when interest rates do end up happening. Some people say that we are in a recession. Others don't want to end up saying that yet, but I can promise you, no one will ever admit we're in a recession until you're out of the recession. Because the moment you end up admitting something like that, it just puts you in like a downward spiral of sorts. So that's the other thing on that side. Reason why I bring up the recession, inflation numbers, and all of that stuff is tying this back into the sports side of things. So we have seen an increase in sports ticket prices, but we've also seen an increase in terms of salaries. And then that also goes into revenue in terms of the NBA. Two different ones that I wanted to bring up were the Franz Wagner one, and then also the Cade Cunningham, because they both got over $250 million for 5 years. One, Steven, yes, get their money. I'm never going to say don't get your money, because if a team is that stupid to think, you know what, you are the one that's going to get me a championship, so be it. But do you think, we'll start with Franz, do you think he is worth that much, and do you think he is that much better than his brother?
No, to both. That's one of those, like, you're really taking a big risk type of deal. Like, you're really hoping this pans out because you'll be on the books for it and he'll be out of there next season at the trade deadline. The Cade Cunningham one, more importantly, as a Pistons fan, I'm okay with it because this team has screwed up enough over the last decade, if not longer. So keeping a cornerstone piece like that and not trading him, I think is a big deal. You know, Tobias Harris stole millions of dollars from the Pistons. But again, get your paper. They need an old head in the locker room for all the young guys. And like, he is an old head. Like, Tobias Harris is a good player, right? Like, he's a good player, but he's made over $30 million somehow in his career. I don't know how he's done it, but so like, that's a good thing to have. And then no, I'm okay with that. They have no one else they're gonna pay right now. So like, give him all that, and then, you know, the contracts, I feel like we can't be surprised by it now, right? You know who does, speaking of contracts, and I saw this last night. So Jalen Brunson, I think I saw that he's not going to sign
the
extension this year, because next year he can get a max
extension. More money. Yep.
So I mean, you're really, like, that is betting on yourself. I don't know what the dollar amount is difference wise, but it's like 300 to 500, something like that, right? Or something along those lines. Something crazy. So he's really betting on himself to be like an all-star again next season and have that type of season. So good for him. I mean, if he's not gonna sign it, good for him, and he's gonna go ball out, I guess. But if you get hurt, fuck, dude.
Jalen Brunson, just before you keep going, this year it would have been 4 years, 157. Next year it can be 5 years, 269.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, go do your thing, dude. Get your paper. But sheesh, that's a big gamble. Only in sports.
Yeah, only in sports. Exactly. So, and the crazy part about all of that, sticking on Jalen Brunson, he was in Dallas. Like there was a time this man was in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy how far he's come. He was not going to make this type of money in Dallas just because Luka was going to get that money. They were paying Tim Hardaway Jr. the money. Not the smartest investments that they made in terms of like Tim Hardaway, because Tim Hardaway's one contract made more than his dad made in his whole career.
Right.
But that's kind of one thing in itself. Other part I want to end up bringing up. So it's 3 different ones. DeMar DeRozan, sign and trade. He's now going to be in Sacramento. What are your thoughts on that? And also the comparison of teams. Do you think he is better? I mean, do you think the Kings are now better than the Pelicans?
I don't think that trade does anything for either team. Like, it does not make the Kings the favorites in the West at all. Like, I don't really know what that does for the Kings. Like, it's a good name, another veteran player. Like, okay, it doesn't do much. Now, like, Clay going to Dallas, I think that like that takes them from where they were. I think they had Clay, they could have beat Denver. Beat Boston. You had a guy like that, and like he's gonna do the same shit in Dallas that he was doing in Golden State. He's gonna come off the screens one side to the next, space the floor, allow Luka. He might have to average like 14 to 16 points a game, maybe 18 points, but like good for him, dude. Like he'll same shit. But yeah, no, the DeMar DeRozan to the Kings doesn't do anything for the West.
So one thing about DeMar DeRozan, kind of just looking at a map, a lot of people talk about it, but of course he's from California. They always talk about the Bay Area, and Sacramento is maybe an hour 30 from the Bay Area. He's nowhere near Los Angeles. I just want everyone to know that California is huge. So that's almost him being in, I don't know, Connecticut or Massachusetts, and him living in the Los Angeles part, which is South Carolina or North Carolina. They're not near each other at all. So don't go thinking he's about to drive back home in a day. The next one is LeBron, 2 years, $101 million, and essentially he has an opt-out after the first year.
It's crazy that LeBron's never really taken the max deal.
No, and this time he couldn't because that's second apron.
Yeah, it's crazy that he's never gotten well, that's a different conversation. But yeah, I mean, for people who said he was going to leave LA, like even if Bronny wasn't on the Lakers, no chance. Like he's 39, going on his 21st season. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's not starting over. Like, come on. And now that Bronny's there, like that's all right. Let's just get this done. And like them swinging and missing on free agency, I think taking Dalton Connect kind of makes up for that a little bit. So there's a guy who lives in my neighborhood. He played at Georgetown with Patrick Ewing, right? So him and I talked ball when we were in the gym together, and we were talking today about it's always still in my mind now what I was just saying. What was I just talking about?
Dalton Connect. And then you were talking about
people talking about his age. He's like, I think 23, 24, something like that, right? That helps them, It's not like you're taking a guy who's 18 years old who had the one and done season. And he's been there, done that. So them swinging and missing on free agency, I know everyone wanted them to get Clay or DeMar DeRozan, which again wouldn't have done anything for the Lakers either. I think they're all right. Like I think they're fine. But the swing and missing takes a lot of the pressure off JJ Redick too.
Yes,
he was a hot topic, and now he's just chilling. So, I like that pick though. The Don't Connect pick, Bronny James, like whatever, dude. Like it's fine. Just gotta own it and like go about your business. Let's go ball.
Yeah. So the next thing is because now I want to switch over into the NFL. And before we end up getting into the main topic, I do want to give Steven the floor so he can end up talking about his brutal takes and thoughts on what has gone on with his life over the weekend.
Yes.
So it's all you.
So, okay, really quick. So I've said this time and time again about Lamar Jackson, and I don't know how this even came up on Twitter, but it did. I've maintained that like Lamar Jackson is one of the top 5 players in the league, one of the like elite talents in the league. He's basically what we all wanted Michael Vick to be. Those of us who remember Michael Vick. But as good as he is in the regular season, he's a 2-time MVP. Like I'm not saying he's trash. In the playoffs, this man is dog shit. And I say it, I've said it to you time and time again. I've said it on this podcast time and time again. Like he sucks in the playoffs. And like there's only really one elite quarterback in the league right now, and it's Patrick Mahomes, right? Like there's levels and there's tiers. He's in a tier by himself right now. But Lamar Jackson he's up there. Josh Allen is too. Is a couple other names. Joe Burrow is probably up there. But for the playoffs, okay, listen to this. For the playoffs, Lamar Jackson is 2-4. Okay, he's got a completion percentage of 57%. For a 2-time MVP, that is inexcusable. That is terrible. He's got a touchdown to interception ratio of 6-6, a quarterback rating of 75. This man, like, he is not consistent at all in the playoffs. The biggest moments of the season that you need, you can do all the regular season you want to. You have a good game against the Chiefs in the regular season, cool. You got to do it when it matters. And like it's like that for every single sport though. And people are saying like, oh, it's a team sport. Like the team has to who fumbled the ball into the end zone? Yeah. Like that type of stuff can happen. Like, yes, I agree with that. But like, no. Like you're Lamar Jackson. Like you are the MVP. Go play like one. Patrick Mahomes does it. Like Joe Burrow can do it. We've seen Josh Allen put up like monster numbers because he has to and because he can and because he should. He's been like Lamar Jackson's been able to have a great defense there in Baltimore consistently while he's been there. But like you gotta be consistent. That's all I'm saying. And same goes for like guys like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has won Super Bowl. That was almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not that good in the playoffs. 4-time MVP, but his numbers in the playoffs are not that good at all compared to what we expect from him. But guys like Mahomes, like Josh Allen, I know the Ravens were in the AFC title game this season. Lamar Jackson, by the way, looked like shit. Okay, like certain things you can't help with. Your boy fumbles the ball, whatever. But like, I'm not wrong. Like, and Ravens fans were just fucking beating me up, dude. I'm like, guys, wait, like you guys are missing. They're missing the point. Like, they're not. I'm not saying that he's trash. I'm not saying yes, I know they were in the AFC title game. I'm fully aware of that. I watched the game, but I don't know what game they're watching because he looked like shit. He was 20 of 37, 54%. He had a 272, a touchdown, and a pick. QB rating of 75. If you're the lead, and I know the play calling was dicey, right? Like we give the kind of shit to Josh Allen. Like people are like, oh, you treat Lamar Jackson differently. No, dude. Josh Allen gets torn up if he has a bad game in the playoffs. Like he's probably the only other one. Joe Burrow sometimes, but look, dude, I'm not wrong about this. And until things change, until Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl or like has consistency in the playoffs for like multiple years because he's been so dog shit since his rookie season, no, I'm gonna keep pounding on this one. So I will die on this one, dude. There's very few things I'm like this passionate about in sports. Like that people will say, yes, I know he's great. For sure, dude. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying he is dog shit in the playoffs, and the numbers back it up. That's it.
So the crazy part is because I have to watch every single thing that the Ravens do. One, Lamar Jackson in the playoffs has to go to the next level. Two, they only had to. What people don't understand is when you have a first round bye, you only got to win one game to get to the conference finals. So all they had to do was beat the Texans, and then they were there. And then they lost to the Chiefs. And
in that Texans game, really quick, 16 of 22, 72%, 152, 2 touchdowns, no picks, quarterback rating of 121. He had 100 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, no fumbles. The next week against KC, dude, again, 20 of 37. Like, it's just, he's wildly inconsistent. And like, if I'm a Ravens fan, there's nothing that I've seen in the playoffs about Lamar Jackson that like I trust him. Regular season wise, yeah, dude, he's a fucking beast. playoffs, just like it's just not there. Like I'm not wrong about it. But
I
Ravens
think
fans are like, but like I do this about like Drew Aller, Penn State's quarterback. I defend him like I did Christian Hackenberg. Shout out to my boy. But
shout
like
out.
I defended him, and I still do for Drew Aller. But like I can acknowledge that he's not good. Like he wasn't good last season against Michigan and Ohio State. Play calling aside, whatever. Like he just wasn't good. He didn't make the throws necessary. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. Like great in all the other games against the the Indianas of the world or Purdue, but like big games, he chokes, and it irks me. The Ravens fans, dude, I hate him already, but like this adds fuel to the fire. So that's it. We can move on.
My last two things with that is I feel Derrick Henry will help with that in terms of taking some pressure off of him. And the biggest thing, and I try to tell this to everybody, everyone always gets on me because I say Zay Flowers, you can't just have Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. They don't have that guy that allows it to be so much easier for Lamar Jackson, to the point some of his interceptions are because that you can't throw it up to anyone there. Do not say Rashad Bateman. Do not say Nelson Aguilar. I'm not doing that to any of them. Zay Flowers, you're not doing that because he might get crucified if that happens. Mark Andrews got injured. So
like Mark Andrews is great, right?
yeah.
But like he's not Travis Kelce.
No,
Like he
and
can't
he gets
he's
injured.
not the guy that's gonna take over the game. And
Mm-hmm.
like he can't be your go-to target. You can throw the ball to Kelce, 12, 13 times probably. Like they did against Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
He had 11 straight catches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I just hate the argument because it's like I'm right on this one, but Ravens fans are anyway.
So we're gonna go to the other topic that grinds other people's gears, aka mine. And Steven said we're doing the NFC South. I looked through everything with the NFC South, and I think the NFC South gets me just as mad. Yeah, I don't know. I think the NFC South gets me. It just randomly did that. The NFC South gets me just as mad as the AFC South. I think maybe even a little more annoyed. So you're probably saying, who's in the NFC South? We have the Falcons, we have the Bucks, we have the Saints, we have the Panthers. Number one, the Bucks won it last year to make it into the playoffs. For anyone that doesn't know. Two, the Falcons now have Kirk Cousins, but they also picked up Michael Penix Jr. Who the hell knows? I get part of that. We'll go into that in a second. The next part is the Saints ended up drafting Spencer Rattler. They damn near didn't have a lot of picks. If you look at the Saints, there were not a lot of picks that they had. Last one, Panthers. Until they get a new owner, they're not going to be anything. The whole city of Charlotte in any sport, as long as that owner is in charge of it, they're not going to do anything. But so I'm going to list off mine, and then I'll say who I think is going to end up being the NFC South champion, and then Steven can do with his. So quarterback-wise, I have to go with the Falcons just because of Kirk Cousins. One, you have Baker Mayfield, who's solid. He's not bad. Derek Carr, they just drafted a quarterback, so I don't know if you're really going to trust Derek Carr for too much longer because they're saying Spencer Rattler might take it over. Bryce Young, he will always live in the shadow of CJ Stroud. Should CJ Stroud have been the number one pick? The next one, running back. So it's a slim margin for me now, but I'm going with the Saints because of Alvin Kamara. But Bijan Robinson is right there with the Falcons. Wide receivers, until they lose one of the two guys, I'm going with the Bucks. You have Mike Evans and you have Chris Godwin. Tight end, because of the quarterbacks they had last year messed them up, and the new quarterback they have this year, I'm going with the Falcons. Kyle Pitts definitely should do really well. Just look at what TJ Hawkinson did with Kirk Cousins, and it should be duplicate numbers. Defense, this is one of the easier ones because they've just been solid no matter what it was, and that's the Saints defense. And then O-line, I have the Falcons, but that's just because the other three O-lines aren't necessarily the greatest that are out there. Who do I think is going to end up being the NFC South champion? I really have to go with the Falcons on this one. I think the Bucks are just there. The Saints, I don't really know what they're doing. Panthers, I promise you, they won't even touch the playoffs or have a winning record until some shit changes there. But what do you have? You're on mute.
All right. Good work. That's what I said. Falcons, quarterback, running back as well. I like Bijan. He's younger. I think that's really about it. Tight end, yes. I think Kyle Pitts can have a all-pro season for sure. I like Rondell Moore at receiver, but I don't like the rest of the Falcons receivers. O-line, I'll probably go with the Bucks, maybe. Yeah, I'm going with the Bucks. It's not. I think it's more consistent than the Falcons, who I would probably put second.
Yeah.
Tight end. Yes, Kyle Pitts for sure. Said that. Defense. I'm gonna go with the Bucks again. It's an older defense, but they still have probably one of the better secondaries in the league with Jordan Whitehead and Antoine Winfield. Very underrated because they're in the NFC South. Who I think is going to win? I'm gonna go with the Falcons because if you can have a good tight end like that, and a good quarterback like Kirk Cousins is, I do like that. I think. Oh, I guess I'll transition to the picks, the draft picks. All right, I said this a long time ago, and I never really brought it up, but I love Spencer Rattler. I am a big fan of Spencer Rattler. I thought that he's arrogant, but like he backed it up on the field. Like he wasn't like he might come off as a huge douche from some of his high school stuff, but he backed it up. He could ball. He was in a terrible system in South Carolina. Caleb Williams was, that's hit or miss. Like either Caleb Williams comes in that Oklahoma game or the Texas game and falls apart, or he did what he did, and he did what he did, and that was it. So anyway, I've been a big fan of Spencer Rattler for a long time. He has a huge arm. He's not gonna outrun you at all. Stay in the pocket, but he can, escape the pocket and extend plays. Not a big guy, but he's I don't know. I think he's got something there. And learning from a guy like Derek Carr, I think can help.
Do you know what his comp is?
Who's that?
Spencer Rattler's comp is Zach Wilson.
Oof. That's tough, dude. That
keep going.
The Bucks. I like Bucky Irving, running back from Oregon. Kind of forgotten. He had a good season 2 years ago and kind of fell off a little bit. And obviously with Bo Nix being the huge name out there, kind of got lost in shuffle. I like that pick. Xavier Legette, receiver from South Carolina, belongs with the Panthers. I also like Michael Penix Jr. I don't hate that pick. I get it. I get why people like it, but like the theory was like you're not gonna like your goal with signing Kirk Cousins is you're not going to be in a position to draft a quarterback that high for like a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, I understand he's 23, whatever, 24. Bo Nix is the same age. I know he had 2 ACL surgeries, but he's a guy that's been there, done that. Like he's been around the block a few times. Last season he fucking dominated, all season with legit receivers. So it's there. But your goal is like you're not going to be drafting or want to put the money into signing a quarterback in the next like 10 seasons. So like you're locking yourself in, guaranteeing 10 more seasons of having worry-free stuff at quarterback. But I get it. I think it's a smart move because you weren't going to get anybody else. So I think it's a good pick. I would probably say that's my favorite pick, aside from Spencer Rattler. But yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with that one.
So I'm gonna go in a different direction. I'm going with the running back first, just like you did. And the first one is Jonathan Brooks, out of Texas. I respectfully towards Steven because he's a Penn State person. I could see Jonathan Brooks beating out Miles Sanders for that position of running back. Second one, and this man is a freak of nature, Talisa Fuaga, lineman. So that's kind of another one that I think a lot of people should pay attention to. And then my final one, I have 2. So Chris Braswell is the main one that I think some people should end up paying attention to over there. So those are the 3. And then I've been keeping track of every single one that Steven and I end up talking about. But closing up, what you got?
So I mentioned down the beach this weekend. I had another one of those moments where like you realize athletes are just different people. I was down at a bar with BJ, my brother-in-law, and we saw Chop Robinson, Penn State DN, that's good job with the Dolphins. Local kid from Gaithersburg, Maryland. He was like a 12th or no, he was like the 22nd pick or something like that in the draft this year. Spotted him from a mile away, right?
That's crazy.
Also, he's the only black person there. So yeah, there's that. So of course I was rocking the Penn State stuff. And I walked by him and he's, I think his combine, he was listed at 6'3", 255. And like I'm 5'11", 205. He is a big dude. Like big dude. And like these guys, like 6'3" is not that tall. Like it is, but like normal people are not 6'3", 250 pounds, right? And like Jordan's 6'1", 250 pounds. Like they did. Like these like obviously basketball players are monsters, right? Huge. That's different though. Size is that. But like NFL players are just so big. Like in every aspect of this dude was huge. Like it's crazy. He's just you're like, oh, what? Like I'm just a regular dude, and these guys are just. And he runs a 4.49. Like just different breeds of. And he hasn't even touched or maybe he has like been around, but he hasn't like touched an NFL weight room really at all.
Yeah,
like, he's just getting started, and he's those guys come back in 5 years looking like insane things. Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy dude. Nice guy.
Yeah. So my only two things, one, a lot of people heard about it, not trying to down the mood, but Kyrie Jackson passed away. He's another dude from the area. So he was in PG County, whole car accident, stuff like that. So that's kind of the first one because he also got drafted, didn't get to end up playing. Next week, what division do you want? We only got one left.
What was it? NFC North?
NFC North.
All right.
We're finishing it with the Lions, Vikings, Packers, and the Bears over there. Yep. But other than that, that's really all we got. Next week, though, might be some story time, but we'll also get into more fantasy sports stuff. And then we do have college football that is right around the corner, too. So until next time, we out.
Peace.